Hello friends, welcome to Learn Easy. We will discuss carbon tax in India in global context. Now, what the carbon tax is? A carbon tax is a type of penalty that businesses must pay for excessive greenhouse gas emissions. Businesses and industries that produce carbon dioxide through their operations are to pay carbon tax. Policy of implementing carbon tax is required to be formed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Prices of carbon tax should be set at the equilibrium to actual social cost. One request, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe, share and press the notification bell. Price of carbon tax lower than the actual social cost of carbon can lead to an undesirable level of pollution. A carbon tax changes the consumer's behavior. It encourages the producers in adoption of energy efficient equipment and procedures by making carbon-laden fuels more expensive. The purpose of carbon tax is to slow down global warming by limiting or lowering greenhouse gas emissions. This levy is imposed on businesses utilizing natural gas, coal, gasoline, fossil fuel and oil. Also, in some countries, the governments establish a cost for greenhouse gas emissions. Now, let us see the objective of implementing carbon tax. The objective of implementing carbon tax is to set an appropriate price of carbon tax matching with actual social cost of carbon, so that undesirable level of pollution can be avoided. Policymakers should define the medium and long-term goals of carbon tax policy. Carbon taxes can be used for debt reduction, essential infrastructure investment, or environmental or social goals. Carbon taxes increase state revenue for additional spending for developing nations. Carbon tax is necessary to curb consumption, reduce the demand for fossil fuels, and push more companies towards creating environmental friendly substitutes. In developing countries, increased state revenues are required to fund the infrastructure necessary for sustainable development and the transition to a green economy. It is observed that greenhouse gases are the main cause of environment warming and climate change. Let us see how greenhouse impact on environment warming. First, the radiation of the sun travels towards the earth. Second, almost half of the radiation is reflected or absorbed by clouds and atmosphere. Third, the rest reaches to the earth where it is absorbed by land and oceans. Fourth, some of the heat is released back towards space. Fifth, another part of the heat passes directly through the atmosphere. Sixth, most of the heat is captured and retained by greenhouse gases. Seventh, thus, certain gases in the atmosphere resemble glass in a greenhouse, allowing sunlight to pass into the greenhouse but blocking Earth's heat from escaping into space. 8. The gases that contribute to the greenhouse effect include water vapor, carbon dioxide, CO2, methane, nitrous oxide and chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs. One request, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe, share and press the notification bell. The different emissions are characterized by the use of indices known as characterization factors. These factors indicate how much a standard quantity of a given pollutant contributes to a particular environmental impact. Therefore, the higher the characterization factor, the greater the contribution. For example, the gas methane has a higher factor than carbon dioxide. It can be said that A kilo of methane causes more global warming than a kilo of carbon dioxide. Another index for measuring the amount of energy trapped by gases is GWP, Global Warming Potential. Global Warming Potential, GWP, measures how much energy a 1 ton of greenhouse gas absorbs relative to 1 ton of carbon dioxide gas. GWP of CO2 is taken as unity. The gases with higher GWP values are more potent heat trappers. Some high GWP gases are chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, hydrofluorocarbons, HFCs, hydrochlorofluorocarbons, HCFCs, perfluorocarbons, PFCs, sulfur hexafluoride, SF6, and nitrogen trifluoride, NF3. These gases trap substantially more heat than CO2. Many activities that generate carbon emissions, such as burning fossil fuels for energy and transportation, impose external costs on society. These costs include the adverse effects of climate change, such as extreme weather events, sea level rise, and health problems. Now let us see the need for a carbon tax in India. As one of the largest greenhouse gas emitters, India is under significant pressure to lower its carbon emissions. Existing fiscal and regulatory measures aimed at reducing emissions have shown limited success, highlighting the need for more effective and consistent strategies. This is where a carbon tax could make a significant difference. A carbon tax is essentially a charge on carbon content of fossil fuels. By making carbon-intensive fuels more expensive, the tax creates a financial incentive to use cleaner energy sources. The dual benefit of reducing emissions and generating revenue makes the carbon tax a useful policy tool in India. In developing nations like India, the revenue from carbon tax could be crucial in supporting environmental projects and enhancing public finances. Let us see how carbon tax is imposed in India. In India, no explicit direct carbon tax is levied solely on emitted gases. Instead, India taxes the input, that is fossil fuels, based on their carbon content. A significant implicit tax is the clean energy cess on coal production, which is around INR 400 per ton. Excise duties and taxes on petrol and diesel are often considered a form of carbon pricing. India's approach focuses on taxing carbon-intensive fuel consumption, which effectively acts as a carbon tax. Let us see development of carbon tax in India. Carbon tax of Rs 50 per ton of coal produced and imported in 2010. In 2014, it was increased to Rs 100. In 2015, it was further increased to Rs 200. Currently, the carbon tax is Rs 400 per ton. Now, let us conclude. Carbon tax in India plays a crucial role for addressing climate change, at the same time supporting economic development. Keeping successful international practices as example and carefully designing the tax structure and legislative framework, India has implemented a carbon tax that aligns with existing policies and effectively reduces emissions. Integrating the carbon tax into the GST system, India can ensure fair revenue utilization. In this way, balancing environmental and economic goals are essential for the successful implementation of carbon tax. That's all. Thank you for watching the video.